Yo, what's poppin', Low Gang? Today we're going to be doing another rant. This one comes from KD Pack, who says, "My first video, if you wanna. It is a bit long though. If not, rant about poo or pee or something. Just any thoughts / constructive criticisms or advice, cause I'm very, very new." First of all, you better bring back the poo and pee rant someday. It was absolutely legendary. Someday. But I was actually interested in watching the video, because he also sent it in my Discord server, and I know that he's a fan of the channel. He's done Patreon rants before asking about advice on certain things, like how I learned to write and avoiding copyright detection on YouTube. So, it was something that I was curious about, and so this morning, I finally watched it, about maybe like 40 minutes ago or something like that. And I get the sense that, this is the first video on his channel. He has since uploaded one more that I haven't seen yet. But I get the sense based off of this video that he has at least, tried YouTube before this. I could be wrong on that. But I got the sense, because it is if this is a first video, genuinely the first time you opened an editor and was like, okay, let me edit this video, write it out, script it, and edit audio and whatnot. Yeah, it is obscenely good for that standard. And even being the first video on a channel, it is ridiculously good, because I know what I was posting in the first stages of this channel. I didn't know how to put my Vegas render settings correctly, so my first video is genuinely unwatchably, so poor in visual quality that you cannot watch it, because it is 360p, and each frame smears into the other in a way that just looks disgusting. But that's a story for another day. It is very well put together for a first. And okay, so the premise of the video, it's called How Cool is Asuka Actually? By the NMA Guru. Not sure what NMA, I cannot say it, goddamn. I don't know what it means, but that's the channel name. And so it's an Evangelion analysis video about his favorite character, Asuka Langley. And the video sort of presents itself as, here's why Asuka connects to me personally. And that is part of it, but another part of it is just a more general analysis of the character. It's about 17 minutes long, and it gets to the point relatively quickly. That's one, beginner blunder that has just been deftly avoided. I know that back when I was a beginner, I made this channel intro video, because I was like, I need to break the ice with people. I felt that desire in my head. And then around the Wodakoi video era, I would spend a good 2 minutes talking about how I got to the point of making the video that you are watching here now, and it's nobody cares. So he avoided that mistake very cleanly. He's just heyo, Asuka's my favorite character, here's why, and he goes into a bit about why characters are can generally be people's favorites, how they connect with them on a personal level. And I do think that it was a very interesting discussion to start off with, because it's a good jumping off point into this God, I'm tripping over my words. The discussion of why Asuka connects with him on this very personal level, and how this character represents him in a way, and how he feels this kinship with the character. And in that sense, the video is also very candid in a way that my first videos weren't. Back in the day, my first videos were all about not being personal at all, about always being sort of apathetic and indifferent about, just sort of everything, sort of flippant the entire time. And so this video is very personal and human in that regard. It is a little rambly at times. It felt a bit unstructured, which it's hard to put into specific words or cite specific examples, but it does seem to sort of like ebb and flow from topic to topic. But at the same time, that is how a lot of old Digi videos play out, and that is something that he cites as an inspiration. Which, by the way, I need to talk about this moment. Because there's this one point where, he talks about, like, he's sort of going through the show, and then he's like, and then Asuka appears, and there's, like, as loud as possible, max volume, the thud sound effect from all the Vine boom sound effect. And it took me a few seconds, but, like, the screen is, like, pure black, and the sound effect is reverberating in the background, and I was like, he watched that old Digi video, didn't he? About how when Asuka appears, everything changes in Evangelion. And then 10 seconds later, KD Pack literally shows that video and says, you could say she changes everything. And I was like, man, I got it. I figured it out. I can read minds. So that was a moment of just being on completely the same page. And you can tell, even just on a script level, that it is very old Digibro inspired. It is the same general style of scripting, of just going super in depth on this one topic. Whereas, over time, although my videos are very Digi-inspired, I do feel myself sort of straying away from that with time into something that I actually kind of want to recapture in a way. And in that sense, this video was actually quite motivating, because it reminded me of, it's been a while since I've watched a Digi video, I'm gonna be real with you. It's been, like, at least, like, maybe 4 months at this point. It's been way too long, frankly, because Digi doesn't upload anymore. And I've seen basically all of his old videos, or I guess her now. I'm talking past tense, so he. And this was reminding me of those videos, and was like, I could stand to, like, rewatch those and take some notes again, because I do feel myself sort of straying from that style, and maybe there's a bit more I can learn from just dissecting it and writing in it and figuring out how to make it the best I possibly can. Because my videos tend to not be, like, I am very nitpicky about the structure in my videos. I want to, my whole thing is I want to complete the point as best as possible before moving on to the next one. It's always about closing loops and opening them. And so, to me, I tend to be very particular about that, and so my videos come off a lot less off the cuff than a Digi video, and, like, a lot more formatted than this video, I guess. It's very vague feelings, though, because on a general level, it is, like, a very in-depth analysis of Asuka's character, and, it was doing a lot for me. I'm not, like, I haven't seen Eva. I guess I'll just get that off my chest. But as someone who hasn't seen Eva, it seemed to me like a very good analysis of the characters. It felt like the sort of analysis that Digi would make back in the day, and that I'm trying to bring back for the Zaregoto series. And arguably, it's, like, I'd say it goes, like, more in-depth than I do in the Zaregoto series as of current, which was a bit of a moment where I was like, maybe I could stand to go, like, a little more in depth. There was actually this part of the Zaregoto video that I was wanting to rewrite, because I wasn't sure if I conveyed myself well the first time. So I literally, like, right after watching that, well, first I took a dump, but then I went back and was like, okay, I'm motivated to write this now. I'm gonna try and recapture that in-depth analytical spirit. And then I got it, and I was like, oh, it's finally clicking together now, and I'm about to go voice that after I finish this rant. So good on ya. It was a very motivating video, like I said. Most of my critiques with the video, I guess, wouldn't be on a script level, because I think the script conveys its points really well, and is, like, it's legitimately just, like, the fine details that you would need to hone on a scripting level. And on that, I can't even really put it into words much, so I'd say just experiment, find what works, and put her down, in, the way that you best see fit. Maybe have an extra draft to really squeeze out, everything you can from the script. But I mean, otherwise, it's like, it's way better than most AniTube videos. I will say that, I mean, I probably shouldn't cite specific examples, but I've seen I've seen a fair bit of AniTube, and, I've seen the stupidly long video essays on anime that take 4 minutes to even begin, that I click off after 6 minutes because you wasted 4 minutes of my time saying nothing. And I've seen the videos that try to make a grander point, and then they just dick around, and I feel like I could have like just skipped 11 minutes of a 15-minute video without missing a single thing of relevance other than dicking around and recapping the plot. And to be fair, sometimes even my own videos do fall into this. Like, I am a little self-conscious about the fact that my V2 video, which I'm working on, does have a lot of plot recap, because part of it is standing in awe at the ridiculousness of its story. And, I couldn't really think of a way to convey that other than telling you what happens so that you can sort of like share this ridiculousness with me. But in that sense, it is sort of plot recappy and doesn't make, a lot of points during that section other than, hey, isn't this funny? I'm gonna explain it to you and tell you, like just have you revel in how funny it is. And so in that sense, this video is very entertaining on a script level. I was not bored throughout it. The main thing I'd say is the editing, which is still, oh god, voice crack, still really good for a first-timer. It's got that shitpost energy. And so there's a lot of memes, a lot of FUMO, there's like this one image, I think it appears twice in the video, of the golden ratio overlaid over Misato's ass, and I just had to stand up and applaud for that one. There's also a moment where he says that Asuka's world-renowned for getting her Xbox on the first day. I also had to applaud for that moment. That was great. Fucking best video on the internet. God, my channel bio for a while, I recently changed it to Small Bagel in a Big World because I thought that was funny, but before that it was I have the oldest Xbox known to man, and before that it was B tier AniTube cuck. So hey, the more you learn, history of my channel bios. I don't remember what it was before B tier AniTube cuck. I know it was something because I wasn't always an AniTuber, but for the life of me I cannot remember. But it does feel a little PowerPoint presentation-y at times. And, there's a lot of still images played back to back that don't pan or anything like that, and so it can feel a little like that. It's fine when you're, flashing them by, in the intro. That was very, fast-paced editing. Zooming on the images in that case would be more distracting and overstimulating than anything, so I thought the intro worked out well. But sometimes there will just be a still image that plays for a minute. There's this one bit where Rei Ayanami is looking in the mirror and seeing her Fumo self, and that plays for an entire minute or something like that. It might have been less, I might be exaggerating, but it was a long ass time. And I got the sense that KD Pack just sort of didn't know what to put there as visuals, and I get that feeling, because sometimes what you're saying is so abstract and so removed from any visuals, what you can visualize, that it's well, how do I even put this into words, Or not put it into words, goddammit, but put an image on screen that matches the words, is what I should be saying. And I've tried various methods of getting around that. What I often do nowadays is just show drawing footage. Just show me drawing a picture. And that works fine enough for me. Sometimes I also I maybe I shouldn't spoil this because this is for the upcoming video, but I have a really interesting plan for visuals where I just get when the script gets abstract, I wanted my visuals to get just as abstract and incomprehensible. And so I'm trying that out. You can see how that works out when you actually watch the video. You probably will. I know you're a fan of the channel. But yeah, it does feel a little PowerPointy, and still at times there are a few repeated images that I felt like were just put there because I don't know what to put down here. But in general, it's still a fine looking video. I didn't think it was visually boring. Visually boring would have been like just clip selection. I thought in general it was, entertaining enough for what it was, and one of the better AniTube videos I've seen in a while. Like, I tend to be pretty picky with AniTube videos because this is like my, for lack of a better term, special interest. So, that's where I tend to be very, like, intent on separating the wheat from the chaff. Is that how the phrase goes? I don't know. I think so. And you held my attention. I did not feel like I was pushing myself through it. So, you did good, is basically what I'm saying. A few more... I did take notes. I haven't been reading them, though, so I should probably be doing that. There's this one point where, when talking about fanaticism of certain characters, he just casually mentions body pillows, but there was no judgment or, like, joke in his voice. And I just had to, like, sit back and appreciate that this is probably the least judgmental mention of a body pillow in a YouTube video, period. Like, I just felt no judgment from that voice, man. It was something to behold. It was almost, like, frightening. Where I'm like, normally this is where the YouTuber makes a joke. Wait, there's no joke here. And then... Oh, okay, I'm very glad I read my notes, because I just remembered this bit. There's this one bit where KD Pack... he's talking about how he personally relates with Asuka and the show as a whole. And he talks about how, in his mind, he looks at the angels and all the monsters they fight. And they're almost like incomprehensible Lovecraftian biblical horrors. And on that, he sort of placed like his own struggle with free will. And as soon as he said, I place the existential terror of free will on these creatures, something to that effect, I was like, I paused the video, I'm like, he reminded me. Because I have had those same thoughts. And he then goes into it a little more, where it's like, yeah, all traits, even... like work ethic, are genetically traceable. And I'm like, yeah, you're describing my hang-ups, bro. And that was an interesting point of, yeah, I feel ya, man. I feel ya. Although what I would add to that conversation is, at the end of the day, because there's no way to... like, even... because at the end of the day, humans, although we seem to have autonomy over our actions... the code that drives the actions in and of themselves was placed there before us, in a sense. And so we don't have control over, the default code that we were given. But we are cognizant of our code, and that gives us the ability to very gradually alter that code to our will, I guess. Which you can argue whether or not that will is truly free, because at the end of the day, the will itself was created before us. Now, we didn't... our will isn't, like, in a sense, isn't something we created. The will we have, the free will, quote-unquote, we have, is just a product before us. But at the same time, we can exercise that will to make this will that was placed, that was created before us, more ours and more linked with the present. You can become cognizant of your own rationale and alter that to what your current desires are. And once again, you can, make a ton of... like, you can have an infinite debate about whether or not your desires are truly yours, because, during twin studies, we learned this in Psych 101 class, twins, even when removed from each other and have no ability to speak to each other, will still take on, like similar hobbies and interests, which was a haunting moment in that class, let me tell you. And so, are your desires truly yours? Did you have control over those desires? It seems like it seems to be no. But at the same time, having your desires laid out before you and being placed on a track, as long as the track's enjoyable, why not? And if you don't find the track enjoyable, then, you do on some level have the ability to alter your cognition. And so, I guess at the end of the day, there is like a positive message at the end of the free will debate, hopefully. Oh no, that's how I rationalize it. It was just an interesting discussion. There was also this fucking amazing quote. I'm not sure if Anime Guru... Oh my god, I just realized why anime... I'm an idiot. Anime... I'm just gonna let that one sit for a while. I'm just leave you with that one. Oh god, I'm also sweating like crazy because I'm in a hot car. But another moment that I liked is when he said, and I quoted this exactly: "If empathy." Oh god, and I messed it up already. If empathy is seeing yourself in another person's shoes, then the less distance you have to travel to get to that perspective, the more powerful the emotional impact. Which I thought was great at basically concisely explain, because he used it in terms of Asuka and Shinji's dynamic, as well as the double meaning of, relating to him seeing himself in Asuka. That phrase sort of puts the whole video into perspective, I guess. It describes the entire thing. And I thought it was just such a succinct way of putting it. I thought it was great. And by at the very end of the video, he tells the audience, "Thanks for watching," or whatever. You can hear the smile. You can hear him smiling when he says that. And it made me smile too. And that's... Oh wait, no, hold on. There's one more thing I need to say. I'm reading my notes. I'm at the final note. Your thumbnail sucks. It's funny. It's unclickable as hell though. This video has about 130 views, if I remember. I don't remember exactly, but around there. Yeah, that is 100 more views than it should have gotten. Not to say that the video doesn't deserve them. The video deserves, frankly, way more. But the thumbnail does not market it very well. And so there are two options. The first, and the one that I would recommend for beginners, is Pixlr. Pixlr is a free website that you can just go on and edit pictures. It saves them via your cache. And so you can literally exit the tab, it'll still be there. It'll have saved. You can literally accidentally click out, which Pixlr didn't used to have that. I've been using Pixlr since 2017, and back then they changed websites. The old site wouldn't save your pictures, and so you'd have to constantly be afraid of accidentally exiting out of the tab, and it'd be so devastating every time you did it. But my projects weren't that complex back then, so it wasn't a huge deal. But nowadays it saves, which is good. The only downside of Pixlr is that you only have 3 daily saves before you have to pay. But if you're making a thumbnail, 3 daily saves should be, it should suffice. It often doesn't for me, because I like saving versions of the thumbnail, and the Zadagoto thumbnail has maybe 15 iterations where I was just fucking around with everything constantly. But honestly, any thumbnail done in Pixlr is probably better than what you currently have as the thumbnail, let's be real. And Pixlr has most of the tools that Photoshop has. Less good versions of them because it's free, but nonetheless, I made the thumbnail to the Onimai video in Pixlr, and that video has 250k views. So clearly Pixlr does have the capability of making thumbnails that pop off. To my knowledge, a thumbnail is half the battle of a YouTube video. A good video can spread word of mouth, and a good thumbnail cannot support a bad video, but both working in tandem will always get you way more views. And if you can master both, you'll get there, you know? What I recommend, just some basic thumbnail advice, you should always have a clear point of focus, and it is best if that point of focus is looking into the camera, be it from the side or the center or the other side, and sort of connecting with the audience, because people inherently connect to a human presence or just something living. You know, we personify things, we like to do so, and so that point of connection with the audience tends to be vital. And make sure the frame is easy to, look at and figure out what you're supposed to be, like what your eyes are supposed to be attracted to. So, as an example off rip, my Tomozaki video is this basically to a T. You got Hinami, which, by the way, this is very trashy advice. Very trashy. But if the point of connection is a cute anime girl, you will get more views. Not gonna pretend like it won't. And so, you have the cute girl in the center. I put a weird filter over her, and then also have this heavily filtered background. That was just to make it stick out from the sludge of other thumbnails. Now, earlier on, there was actually an earlier version of the Tomozaki thumbnail. I have it saved to an old computer, and it was like, the reason why it was worse was because it wasn't like as direct. The focus of the image wasn't as clear. It was a bit more memey, a bit more shitposty. You got multiple characters in there, which is fine, but it wasn't entirely clear, where to focus. And yeah, it was funny, but it wouldn't have gotten as many views, And the Onimai video is another example. That thumbnail is probably my best in terms of what I've created. The Mashal one might have overtaken it because I really like that one. But, you get like the Mahiro in the center of the thumbnail, very direct, very bold confrontation to the audience, but, she's got like a cute blushing expression on, and it's kind of funny too, cute and funny. And then on the side, you got all the side characters, and they're positioned in a way where they add to the, I guess, what the fuck is the composition? There we go. They add to the composition, but they're clearly not the point of focus. And they're, small enough that, although you can see them, you can't really make out their expressions at thumbnail size beyond the basics. And so it's clear, like, yeah, this isn't where my eyes are supposed to be drawn to, and there's like a billion of them. And obviously, there's the boy and girl background, which just generally look good, fit with the theme of the show. And another thing that you'll quickly learn while doing YouTube is that prettier shows make better thumbnails. There's an example of this today where my friend Vlusky uploaded this video on The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. That show has an ugly as fuck color scheme. And so when you put the characters there, it looks dim. The thumbnail literally looks like you put a low opacity black square over the entire thing. And so it doesn't really draw people's eyes. It's his most viewed video in a while. At least in terms of the first few hours metrics. Obviously, that's subject to change, but, it's doing well right now because it's a trending topic. But the thumbnail needed to be, like the original thumbnail of the video was dim, and Vlusky ended up having to color correct it in order to make it as bright as the other thumbnails around it, so that it would draw eyes. And even then, though, even color correcting it so that it looks good, it still doesn't really look that good. It's just a brighter and more vibrant version of the show's already ugly as hell color palette. It's not traditionally pretty, whereas something like Mashal is colorful as hell, it naturally draws eyes. I think it's a really great aesthetic. And so, that sort of dichotomy exists. Now, the other way you can make a thumbnail is by downloading Adobe Photoshop. And there are two downsides to it. The one is that it is complicated as compared to Pixlr. And so it will take you a long time to figure out where everything is, especially if you're not used to making thumbnails. And the other downside is that it's paid. However, there is a way around this. It's called Minecraft Photoshop. Now, what I want you to do if you're going the Photoshop route is go to r/GenP on Reddit and click on the Photoshop option. And what it will do is take you to this it's a bizarre little thing called Minecraft Photoshop. It's very weird. I don't even know what the hell it is. And I will say, if the website doesn't take you to Minecraft Photoshop, I am not to be held responsible for what its contents are, right? Now, if it, for whatever reason, takes you to, I'm just spitballing here, but, a cracked, pirated version of Photoshop, I don't know what's behind there, right? I can't be held responsible for this. I am not, and I'm making sure this is clear, I am not saying that it is always ethical to pirate Adobe products. I am not saying that. That is not what I am trying to impart upon you. Nothing in this video is supposed to support the wonderful piracy of Adobe products. That is not what I'm saying. Alright, I'm just saying that Minecraft Photoshop exists. And if it just so happens that it doesn't actually exist, I am not to be held responsible for it. Anyway, that was just my rant about your video. How fucking long is this thing? Yeah, 31 minutes, that tracks. See ya!